Hi, everyone, and welcome to Shia's Room. This evening, we are doing something a little different. I missed you all last week, and I posted it, and then thank God for my co-host Christine, who was able to come up and let you all know what was taking place. My laptop is down; it is crippling me a bit. My phone is giving some problems. It is overheating right now at the moment, but I have dedicated myself to coming on a Tuesday. We are just this evening we're coming home with Shia's Room. We will be pulling Real Talk until we relaunch it on June. We are regrouping and we are coming out better than ever. This evening we have no other than the wonderful, lovely, resilient Kristin Brooke, who will be with me as usual, but this time she would be giving us her story. Now, she has written a book that will be out very soon. I Choose Joy. And you are getting the inside scoop this evening on her book, I Choose Joy, her life's journey that helped her to produce this book, I Choose Joy. She's also launching her course, and so we will be discussing all of this evening. While we are waiting on her, when I relaunch Real Talk in June, I will also be launching my course, Strategies to Winning. And so you can look forward for that. We are still deliberating on launching Pearl Foundation. The reasons, because of COVID, we are not getting to move forward as planned. So we are transitioning and we are making other plans so that we can move forward. But as I said, as less breath within me, I am going to continue to come on and be with you. And we have Jelani. Kristin Brooke is in the house. Let me see. Oh, dear. Okay, guys, I'm sorry I get bumped off there. Oh my God, and she looks so lovely in her blue, white, and black. We are going to be discovering some truths about Kristin this evening. I listened to her interview on Chai Together, sorry, with Patiba Day, and it was so great. I was like, oh, you still coming on and do the interview with me? And she said yes, and I am so happy to have her on this today with me. And we are going to, Christine, you want to say anything before we start?
I just want to say hi. It's so nice to see you.
Yes, same here. So we have our Facebook user who put some hearts. So you know it is. Yes, we are doing an interview. Yes, this is Shia's Room, but we still want you to drop in your name and drop in your comments. And we still going to recognize you here this evening. Now, here's it. You'll hear any song in the background.
I love that song.
Give me a little volume. A
Breaking
little.
apart, you already have it all. Every breath on every minute. Got no limits. You know it. You need to know. Come on, Beverly. Give up and just never think you are. And you will. Yeah.
Yes. My son is
Oh.
in the phone that he can't even hear me speaking to him. So you can load out the song now, Jay. Yes. So Christine introduced me to this song, and I can understand why she goes by the name, by the slogan, Resiliency Queen. And even listening to her, Jay, even listening to her story yesterday, she is really, really resilient. So, Christine, we just want to start off with a little bit on your background. Now, they said between fertility and age 7, you is where you develop your character. Um, Studies are now showing that yes, there's a miracle. We're not that we can change our character, but that we can redirect who we were at that point in time at age 7 and before. But your grounding characteristics are developed in this. So give us a little about your background. Some and I don't know, maybe there's something that happened in your life when you were little, or someone you had in your life that gave you that resilience, power that you have inside of you.
I owe it all to my mom and my mom's family.
Mm.
They've always loved me unconditionally. And when I was born, I was kind of like the family baby. I was the first grandchild on my mother's side. And they kind of all just took me in. So I have
Nice.
my granny and
Mm.
my family's a little complicated, right? Like we have our biological fathers, but then usually there's a stepfather that comes in and is a better male role model. And so
Mm.
when I was born, my grandfather branch was there at the hospital, even though he was dating my grandmother, who had divorced my abusive grandfather.
Okay.
And he was the man that I grew up knowing and loving. So Gregory Branch, and he passed away some years ago. But he was influential as being a positive male figure in my life, along with my
Uh,
granny. I had my Aunt Robin, my Aunt Tracy, my Uncle Joey, my mom. And, you know, one thing that I've realized is they were a positive influence in my life. And they just always spoke love into me. They always believed in me. They had all these cute little nicknames and would tell me, "You're my buddy, oh pal," and build my confidence from a young age. But they taught me how to
mm-hmm.
love. So um, when people ask, like, how can you get through difficult circumstances or through tough times, is because I know that I was loved. Without a
Yes.
doubt. I know I was loved. I know that I am worthy to be loved.
Yes.
One, it's inherent in me, but two, like they really loved on me. And yeah.
Yes. So there's a Facebook user who say, "Hey," and they say, "Can I join?" We are not seeing who you are. We not, so drop your name in so that when we responding, we know who we are responding to. And yes, that support, we know that support system is so important, so very important. So you had a great support system, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
But what I wanted to say to that is, as much as I had a great support system, I'm going to try to say this in the nicest way possible. Um,
Mhm.
my my stepfather who adopted me
Mm.
brought adversity to my life. And that adversity really taught me how to be stronger. And it was more so um, emotional abuse. We'll say emotional and
Okay.
verbal abuse.
Mhm.
And, you know, throughout the years, I would say, well, if you don't do this, then I could just write a letter and just happen to put it on everybody's doorstep in the neighborhood. It's not libel or slander if it's true, and I
Mhm.
shouldn't have to say that to a male figure in my life. But I've had
Mm.
moments with him where I've had to. And I've had times where, as a little girl, even my best friend experienced just the difficulty in dealing with him and the difficulty in dealing with his mother. And my
Mhm.
grandmother was very, um, I don't even know what to call it, but was very emotionally detrimental to an innocent young child, me.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to handle that because I didn't grow up prior to my mom meeting him dealing with drama or rules of, if you enter the room, you say hi. Well, if I enter the
Mhm.
room, you say hi, and feeling that negativity towards me, I didn't have that. But it built in me the ability to overcome because I had to deal with it. And,
Mhm.
you know, at 15, so I met him when I was 6, and I liked him. I liked the idea of having a father until
Right.
I had an issue at daycare where he came to pick me up from daycare, and I was very soft spoken when I was 6 years old. And I came up the
Mhm.
stairs and I said, "Hi," very quietly. And he said, "When you see me, you are supposed to say hello." And I said, "I did." And the daycare lady said, "She did." And he said,
Mhm.
"No, you didn't." And I said, "Yes, I
Mm.
did." And he said, "Why are you talking back? You did not." And I got home at 6 years old. I was grounded for 2 weeks, no TV, no toys. Um,
Mm.
the only thing that I could do was read, to the point where he even told the lady at daycare, she's not allowed to play with kids when she's here after school. She needs to
Mm.
learn to speak. And so, looking back, I realized that was a defining moment for me that,
Yes.
you know, um, whew, it was a defining moment for me because I
Right.
realized that even if adults want to stand up for me, they may not be able to fully. And I had to be able to just move on. Um,
Mhm.
but that was a moment where I was just like, oh my God, like, this is so
Mhm.
different than my first 6 years of life.
Right.
Um, and I've had issues, with him. Do
Mhm.
I love him? Do I respect that he took on the role
Mhm.
of father figure? Am I grateful and respectful for the loving siblings that I have? They are such blessings in my life. I can't be mad at
Mhm.
that. Um,
Right.
he developed a character in me that I wouldn't have if it wasn't for him. But I know what it's like to not be fully believed by family, that what
Mhm.
you're enduring is real. And it
Hmm.
wasn't until my best friend at the time came with me when I was 13 years old. I would go on trips in the summer for 2 weeks and visit my grandmother. And my best friend came with me to say, you know what, I'll come with you so it won't be that bad. And then
Mhm.
she had to deal with her and deal with
Right.
the um, the kind of underhandedness of emotional abuse to a child, she
Yeah.
came back home saying, "Mom, I don't want to ever go again." And at that point, I
Hmm.
had gone many summers for 2 weeks by
Right.
myself, you know,
Hmm.
and in my mind, I was like, well, if I can handle it, why can't my best friend? Why doesn't she want to come with me? And then I was able to
Hmm.
speak up for myself and say, you know what, from here on out, like, I don't want to ever go again. And so I never did. And it was always around my birthday in July that I would go, and I would spend my birthdays, and I would be sad, really, for 2 weeks. I remember crying in the bathroom, just wanting to go home. But like I said, those were defining moments for me, and
Yes.
building my character and building my strength. So, there so often we think that the bad things that happen to us that we can't
Mhm.
learn from it or that we don't
Right.
grow from it, but we really do. We become stronger with every obstacle that we're able to overcome. So, that's part of why I am the way I am, when it comes
Mhm.
to speaking up against things that I don't feel are right, or wanting to go to law school to say,
Right.
I want to be a voice for someone else. That's
There
why,
was this
because I
time that you said
know,
enough is enough.
yeah,
Enough
like,
is
okay, fine. I didn't say
yeah.
hello loud enough.
Mhm.
Hello, world. This is me, you know?
This
Um,
is me.
so, but
Yeah.
yeah, like, you have to be willing in life to go through some things. We all go through
Right.
things. And
Mhm.
how do you reframe it and look at it in a positive light is the most beneficial way that I found to really get some good out of the bad things that happen, because they're going to happen. They do happen. But
Mhm.
like Eric Thomas says, pain is temporary. Pain is temporary. So you just go through it.
Yes. So you spoke about your stepfather, and
Mhm,
some maybe wondering, okay, where's the father now? Tell us about your
mhm.
father and tell us how
My
his
biological father?
absence in your life, yes, your biological father, and tell us
Mm,
how his absence in your life have caused you heartache
mhm,
throughout your life. Because some persons
mhm,
think after you leave childhood that you shouldn't have any father woes. You already know that your father is not there, and
mhm.
so just get used to it and get over it. And we know that that is not the reality. So tell us, in your childhood and even now, how the absence of your father have affected your life.
So, so my mom has this great analogy, right? That a father is the man that creates you, and a daddy is, the role, right? That a
Hmm.
man lives up to,
Right.
and being there for his children. And
Hmm.
my father, my biological father, I knew who he was, and I would visit family up until the age of 4.
Right.
And I remember spending time with him at the beach. I
Mhm.
remember spending time with my little sister, one of my little sisters, Jasmine, when we were very, very little. She was a baby. Um,
Okay.
but other than that, I don't have like a physical memory. So
Mhm.
um, I did not talk to him from 4 to 15, when I was
Okay.
about to be adopted by my stepfather. And
Mhm.
I allowed my stepfather to be the role of dad. And
Right.
to this day, I I call him dad, or in reference to him when I'm frustrated, or feeling like, our relationship just isn't where it is, then
Mhm.
I'll, you know, refer to him respectfully, as his name, Mr. So and so.
Wonderful.
I won't
Yeah.
put his name out there. um,
No.
but my biological father um,
Mhm.
called me when I was 15, as
Right.
we were about to go to court the next day, and he said, "Why are you changing your last name? I'm your father." And, for me, I had already made up my mind, and I'm sure that I had made my mind up years prior. You know, I had received gifts from his sisters, but I did not. Oh, here
Hmm.
we go. I'm like, I feel it. I did not
Hmm.
receive gifts, cards, visits,
Hmm.
nothing from him
Hmm.
growing up. So my dad, that to this day does not necessarily treat all of his children fairly, kindly, and with respect, um, was my dad and was
Hmm.
my role model for a long time of what a man does. And he provided for the family,
Hmm.
and he told us that he loved us.
Hmm.
Um, but I look back now and I realize how easy it was to get into a relationship with someone that was verbally and mentally abusive, because
Hmm.
he was the type of dad that if things didn't go his way, he would throw shoes around in the closet. We had a big family, like, yeah, sometimes it's hard to find your shoes in the closet, but
Hmm.
we laughed about it for a long time,
Okay.
and we'd say, "Oh, this is dad," but or
Hmm.
Candy is missing, and there's 6 kids, and he would line us up and say, "Did you take my Snickers? Did 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 you take my Snickers?" And all of us said no, because whoever took it was not about to get in trouble. No,
Yeah.
uh-uh. You know, growing up, you wanted a sip of pop, and someone would sneak and then put a little bit of water in the pop, and or
Okay.
the soda. Michigan is coming out. Um, and
Children do the darnest things.
right. And then we'd all get lined up again, like, "Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it?" Um,
Mhm.
and we laugh about it, now. We laughed about it as we got older, and we would do impressions. And you know when I think about doing impressions of family now, like, we all have our quirks, but what do we want to be known by? And we get to choose how we're remembered. We get to choose what we're remembered by. I just want to make
Mhm.
sure that, the memory that I'm leaving is a positive one, and that people are
Right.
impacted in a positive way, and that
Mhm.
the feeling, because we all remember the feeling that we get when someone is around us. I
Right.
want to make sure that the feeling that people have when they hear me or they see me or they're around me is that I
Mhm.
exuded love,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
that I had care, concern, compassion, and that I was strong.
Mhm.
But it's because I know of what I don't want to be as my memory. And so let me say
Mhm.
this. So we are all flawed, right?
Right.
So I'm going to say the worst thing that I've ever done was tell my dad on the
Just
day that his
before,
mother
just
died.
before you say what that worst thing is, someone say, "Hey, ladies, hi. We are not
Hi.
speaking.
We're
Leaving a
about to
legacy
say
is
the worst
important.
thing that
Yes,
I've ever
leaving
done.
a
Probably the
legacy is
most
important."
heartless thing that I've ever done. Um,
Okay, you listening?
I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm saying it because I'm asking for forgiveness, and I hope that
Right.
if he hears this or sees this, that he knows that I'm sorry.
Mm.
Um, so on the day that my father's mother died, the one that I told you
Mhm.
about, that I would visit every 2 weeks, um,
Yes.
I I jumped off of the couch and I said, "Yes, that bee is dead."
Hmm.
Now, for me, it was a relief because of what I had gone through, but I was young
Right.
and I did not
Right.
realize the impact of what I had done. But now that I'm
Hmm.
older, I realized that was the person that raised him. That was the mother that gave him life. That was the lady who birthed him. And it was so disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And whether we like it or not, he is the reason why you're here.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
like he
sometimes,
shaped who I am. Um,
right? Eh.
so I'm sorry, Dad, for saying that to you. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
I would never, ever want someone to tell my daughters that. Look, I came
Mhm.
prepared. I would never want someone to say that to my daughters when I pass away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it is also important to make sure that you have forgiven yourself. You was young and you have to, understand why you make the decision. And that also helps us to actually understand the persons who have been really abusive in our lives and who have not treated us well, to understand that they too may have a background that we don't understand, that
Right.
caused them to retaliate the way that they retaliate, or treat us the way that they treat us. Because here is that's something that you said wasn't the kindest thing to say,
Hmm.
but it is still understandable as to
Right.
why you see it. We do understand. And so do forgive yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I
Do
do.
forgive
I do.
yourself.
I do.
You know,
I
I,
forgive myself. I understand where that came from. I understand the
mhm,
struggles that I dealt with as a kid,
right,
in dealing with that. But I, as
mhm.
an adult and as a mother, I understand now how hurtful
It
that
would have been.
would be
Hmm.
to anyone that loses their
Right.
mother, whether that's a good mother or a bad mother, or,
Mhm.
a neglectful mother or a loving mother.
Right.
You know, that's just something that you don't say. You don't talk about people's mothers, because that's the person that gave them life. And,
Hmm.
we should all be grateful for our moms and our dads, because without them, we would not exist. Um,
Yes.
So, yeah. So biological father. Let me also say this. So I do
Hmm.
know all of my siblings, that are, well, most of them that are through my biological father, and
Hmm.
I'm so proud of them. Uh, so here's the thing about my biological father. He was a teacher. He was a gas station owner. He was a construction, company owner. Yeah. He was a nightclub
You have
owner.
an idea where you get your resilience from and your
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
He came from a very
You have
large
tremendous
family,
power.
and
Hmm.
he had a lot of kids of his own, including me. And
Hmm.
um, I look at my siblings now, and it's just amazing to see that despite of all of these different mothers that he,
Hmm.
we say he was Rolling Stone. He was. He got around. He had fun. He had a great life as a man.
Hmm.
um, all of us are just amazing in our own right. And uh, you know,
Hmm.
I I'm amazed with all of my siblings. And on my biological father's side, they are ambitious. They're just super ambitious. Pharmacists, um, going to law
Hmm.
school, nurses, and um, IRS agents, and or I should say government employee. um,
Right.
just they're so creative in how they want to find their own success, and it's funny that they're so diverse in what they
Hmm.
do. But I think that and hearing them say, this is what your dad did.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad did this and this and this and this. It gives you this sense of, well, why not me? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if he could do all of that, and he died at 69, I believe. If
Okay.
he could do all of that, why not me?
Hmm.
I can do that too. And so, yeah,
Yes.
it's amazing how people mold you, even subconsciously,
Mhm.
when you hear of stories of this is your lineage, this is who you come from.
Right. Hmm.
Why not you? You can do it.
Yes. Hi, Iffy. So Iffy wants to know if
Hey!
I have gotten a new laptop or a phone. Iffy, are you planning to send me a new laptop or phone? I would love you to send me one. No, Iffy, I have not. I am still working on the laptop. My phone, it overheats when it wants to. So as long as it is, I am able to come on a Tuesday, we are going to be here on a Tuesday. Uh yes, yes, Kristin.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's always positive
always.
to the negatives, always positive, and we are the ones that have to really choose the
Yeah,
positive side of every story. We have to make that choice.
yeah,
We when I come down to that place where we're talking about I choose joy. But
yeah,
even if choosing joy, that's what we do. You adopt an attitude for gratitude,
yeah,
and you choose to focus in, to zoom in on the positive rather than the negative, and
yeah.
allow that to push you forward
Yes.
because you know that you are worth it. It's not about your daddy. Yes, I have daddy issues. It's not about father. Yes, I have father issues. Nah, it's about Kristin Brooke. And
Yeah,
Kristin Brooke is a winner. So I am
yeah,
going to take all that I can get and push forward and win. We have a
absolutely.
lot of persons, young women, who are in abusive relationships. Some get out, some don't. You were fortunate too. And a lot of times it's because of those same father issues, either what is modeled before them or what they are lacking, what they're looking for. It is easy. We hear this thing about narcissistic, um,
Narcissistic people. Yeah.
yeah, narcissistic
Okay.
this disorder, that personality disorder is, a lot of persons are speaking about it. And one of the things that it is, they are very controlling. And
Mhm.
because young women, and we're speaking about young women now, not that there aren't young men, but because Christine is a young woman, we are speaking about young women now. And because they're looking for that father figure, it is so easy for them to pick up someone who has that personality disorder. So tell us, give us a little bit about your when you get married, how why you get married, why how everything come about.
Yeah. Okay. So when I got married, I had dated my husband, or ex-husband now. I had dated him for about a year and a half. And, it was just the natural progression of our relationship. I felt like I found my best friend.
Right.
Um, and we got married. We got engaged, we moved in together, and then I ended up being pregnant. And so the wedding that we had planned for July, we moved to
Okay.
January. And soon after, he um I had red flags with the way he was treating his family.
Mm-hmm.
And then it progressed to being me. And then looking back, I realized, wait, he had done things that were red flags in the past with other people.
Mm-hmm.
He had said things that were out of line that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really address, that I should have, or I should have said, you know
Right.
what? Those are my friends. I'm walking away from this relationship, because if you cannot respect my friends, then you cannot respect me. But being young and, uh, you know, making excuses, I just made an excuse that, he didn't really mean it. Maybe he's a little bit like my dad. He might get riled up every once in a while, but it's nothing serious. It's not, my father was, or not father, but my dad. My dad was not, or is not, as far as I know, is not physically abusive.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely emotional,
Right.
things that, he would know would cut into, like, your soul. Like,
Hmm.
it, just really deep,
Yes.
like harsh, like, okay, this doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
sense. I can't do that. Why are you making this harder for me? Or
Right.
whatever. But so I, with my husband, I it was hard for me to see that what was abuse right away. It
Right.
took me being cussed out while pregnant at the hospital, and men at
Mm-hmm.
the hospital saying, "Are you safe? Are
Hmm.
you okay? Do we need to call the cops? Are
Mm-hmm.
you sure that you want to go with him?"
Hmm.
And when this older man said all of those things to me, I questioned, am I safe? Should I go?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had other incidents that would happen where he would leave me at the store,
Mm-hmm.
or people would see him swearing at me in the car at a red light because I looked
Hmm.
out the window. I know you're trying to look at that guy in that car over there. Why
Mm-hmm.
are you looking at that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Having family events that were female only and him going and he's the only man. Because
Hmm.
why do you want to
He
go?
had to
Why do you
supervise
want
you,
to be by
maybe.
yourself?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
and then my family would say, why is he here? It's supposed to be
Hmm.
just the women.
Right.
And I would say, I don't know. But then we could be in the grocery store. And why did you lick your lips? You trying
Mm.
to Are you trying to get that guy to try to talk to you right in front of me?
Hmm.
No. It's winter and my lips are dry.
I'm
And I
tired.
happen to lick my lips. And in my
Mm.
mind I was just like, I don't understand.
Right.
How? How do you have this reasoning? But I realize
Mm.
now it was his insecurity. And those were red
Yeah.
flags for me.
Mm.
Um, and eventually it got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. And um, I ended up filing for divorce and handling my own divorce. Um, and, we talked throughout going through our divorce. We tried counseling. We tried,
Right.
um, you know, family friends and family
Mm-hmm.
members talking to each other, and um, it just it didn't work.
Right.
So, I decided that's okay. We can raise our daughter together. He also
Hmm.
had a similar circumstance where his biological father was not in his life, and that affected
Okay.
him deeply.
Hmm.
Um, he had his stepfather in his life, but what I can say is a stepfather is great. And I can say that because my grandfather was a stepfather to my mother and her siblings, and he was a great
Right.
man. But at the same time, as women, we need to vet who is going to be that male role model for our children, because that is
Mm-hmm.
a serious, serious role. And it's not just about faith, that we have
Mm-hmm.
the same spirituality. It's not that he has a decent income or he has a home that can provide for us. It is
Mm-hmm.
much more than that.
Yes,
And
it is. Yes, it
yeah,
is.
and
And it's
my grandpa
important.
Branch was an amazing man. And I am
Hmm.
so happy that I had him as a role model along with my Uncle Joe. because
Right.
I know what a good man looks like. That's what I'm looking for. That is what I
Right.
want. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
my biological father as an example. That is an example of what I don't want. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want a man that is like my stepfather that adopted me,
Mm-hmm.
although I'm grateful that he took on the role to raise me, but I don't want someone that is willing to emotionally abuse my kids.
And perhaps he probably did his best also,
He did his
you know,
best, but that's what
under
I
his
didn't want.
own
I don't
circumstances,
want
you know.
it. And
So
and that's the thing is
it didn't change how it affected you, though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Mm-hmm.
wonder, and this is what I don't know. Would I be the
Mm-hmm.
same if I had a loving grandfather, a loving stepfather, and a loving husband?
Right.
Because they would have built me up. And
Mm.
if my mother and my granny and my grandpa Branch and my two
Mm-hmm.
aunts and my uncle all built me up to have the strength to be resilient against all
Right.
of these family adversities, then
Mm-hmm.
how strong would I have been to not have to go through that adversity?
Well,
You
I
know,
don't know because
we
I'll tell
don't
you this,
know,
right?
but my hope
But
is, that I would have been that much stronger. But I am who I am because of
but
what
I'll
I've
tell
been
you this.
through. We
I'll
can't
tell you
change
this,
it,
Christine.
right?
I'll tell you this, Christine. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll tell you
Okay.
this. The time that we build the most muscles is when we get through the most, when we're doing those vigorous exercise and we're going through the most pain, is
Yes,
when we build the most muscles. And that's how it is emotionally also, you know.
yes.
So whereas you may think that, oh, I might have been more resilient, actually what you've been through have helped you to be resilient as you are today.
But girl,
And
oh shoot, my light. I'm like, what
yeah.
happened? Hold on real quick.
Yes,
Okay,
guys, she was.
sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
you can see me
it's it's
again.
it's it's yeah, and there was light. Let there be light, and there was light.
Oh man.
Yes, so that we know the flip side. You know the flip side of what it is like to have loving persons in your life, and you know the side of what it is to have abusive persons in your life.
Hmm.
And you are a resilient coach because of that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
If you had your father and your stepfather being the kind of men that they should have been, you probably wouldn't have become a resilient coach
Yeah.
because
But you know
it's
what?
the flip side
I'm
that
glad
that
that I
gives you that,
am that I so I can help other people, right? But I wish that I
right?
wasn't. And that is something that I learned through going through
Mm-hmm.
trauma is
Right.
it's not that we have to wish for the pain, but the pain makes us who we
Mm-hmm.
are so we can be stronger. But it's okay also to wish that you didn't have to be who you
You
are,
didn't?
but you are. So accept it.
Yeah.
Roll with it because there is no other
Yes,
option.
yes, yes.
Everything
And
that
just
happens
think
was
from it,
exactly the
right?
way it was supposed to be, but we can still choose joy.
We can still choose joy.
Yeah.
Now, we have talked about defining moments when you were a child and you decided, I am not going to take this anymore. I'm not going back by my grandmother. You have a defining moment when you said, you know what? You took a vow to be my father, but you are not playing that role as you promised. And guess what? I just don't want to carry your name anymore.
Mhm.
You showed resilience there. That was a defining moment. There was a defining moment when you were in that marriage and you said, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I am not going to take anymore. Now, there was something that was of utmost trauma in your life. You had a really, really these are it is not even as close to traumatic as this. You want to go through it with us because we want to reach that defining moment when you said,
Mhm.
I choose joy.
Yeah. So, as many people know, and some people don't, I was sexually assaulted in 2009. Like I had explained yesterday, I had encountered a man that was a convicted felon affiliated with gangs, not just one, gangs, that was into forgery and fraudulent activity, stealing money from corporations, human trafficking, dealing with coyotes, taking people back and forth to Mexico,
Mhm.
and he sexually assaulted me. And that was over the course of 9 days, not knowing how to deal with that situation. I was in a haze where I didn't want to accept the fact that I was assaulted. I just wanted it to go away. I wanted to act like it never happened.
Mhm.
And I went to work and I was withdrawn. I wasn't talking. My friends were saying, "You're not the same. What's going
Mhm.
on?" But that would have been a loaded answer, you know? And and not knowing how to respond, it got to the point where the man that I was dating was in the military, and I told him, "If you don't hear from me on Monday, then something has happened to me because this weekend I think something might happen." And I had this feeling like either I would be transported or potentially murdered. My daughter was with my mom for summer break, and um, he helped me through that. My boyfriend at the time helped me through from overseas and
Uh,
got me my plane ticket home, called my mom and said, "Your daughter needs to come home. Can she come home?" And of course, my mother said yes. And he said, "It's not going to be just a short period of time, but she may need to stay with you for a while. Is that
mhm.
okay?" And of course, she said yes. I remember having a conversation with my mom, um, and she was asking me if everything was okay. And we have a code where if we bring up something that no longer exists, then it's not okay. So she knew it was not okay. Um, but she didn't push. And I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." I got on a plane. I had a few stops in order to have an affordable ticket the next day. It was not a direct flight. And I got home, and my mom was so happy to see me. And, although I was happy to see my mom, it was like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to be picking up my daughter and going back home. And
Right.
so we went back to her home. Ooh, there goes my eyelash. Girl, let's take this one off too. Magnetic. Thank God. I was gonna tell you, girl, I tried some
Oh,
magnetic
what's up to
eyelash
the
this
world of a
spring.
woman? That's how it goes
No.
sometimes.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank goodness. That like helped the moment be lighthearted. So anyway, I I went back home with her, and I ended up
Mhm.
looking for a job. I was gonna go back to my old job, but I didn't have a car. I was literally living out of a suitcase. And
Right.
I um I didn't have a car.
Mhm.
Um and getting places in Michigan, usually you need a car. A lot of things are not within walking distance. Um,
Mhm.
so I rode the bus to my old job, and it took me about an hour
Mhm.
and a half to get there, which is like 10 to 15-minute drive. but far enough where it doesn't make sense to ride a bike. My mom found this
Mm.
job in the newspaper and said, you know what? There's a director of sales position. I think you can do it. You just need to go in there and sell yourself. And so I went in, I sold myself, I got the job,
Mm.
and came home and I decided, okay, how am I going to get to work? So my first day, I decided I was going to walk. And I was so terrified. Any
Mm.
Arizona license plate that I saw driving through the neighborhood, I was like, they're coming to get me. They are
Mm.
coming to find me. I know too much. They're going
Mm.
to they're going to take me out. My daughter's not going to have a mother, and all these
Mm.
terrible things I was thinking because I was
Wow.
still in this haze of trauma and hadn't admitted to people what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up riding my bike to work.
Right.
And I rode my bike, and of course, my boss is looking at me like, "Why don't you have a car? Like, I just gave you a job." And
Mm. Mm.
eventually, I saved up, and I was able to get a car. Um,
Right.
but that was healing for me, even though it was
Mm.
expensive, and it was um, a decision that I wasn't fully ready for, but I needed a space of my own. And
Right.
um, I utilized my car as I was going through therapy. I utilized
Mm.
my car as my space. Like that was my personal space where I could go in, close the door, lock it, and I would write.
Yes.
I would write
Mm.
and write and write, and I would write poetry. I would write journal
Mhm.
entries. I would find quotes and just kind of think about like, what does that mean? What how does
Hmm.
that apply to me? What do I want to
Hmm.
think about it?
Right.
And at at a point, I realized that what I'm going through, I want other
Mhm.
people to be able to learn from what I'm going through. So I decided, okay,
Absolutely.
this journal, hopefully one day I will be able to give it to someone and it will help them through what I'm going through because I
Right.
felt so alone. Because I felt like
Mhm.
nobody understood. My boyfriend ended up breaking up with me because he just, was saying I built up too many walls. And um, my best friend at the time told me that I should not have moved out west without enough money.
Mhm.
And it was my
Mhm.
fault that I found myself in my circumstances and make sure next time
Mhm.
you have more money. As if to say, you kind of deserve it because you didn't have enough money, as if
Because
money
of the
could have
faults.
stopped it. But I
Yeah.
realized money couldn't. But what she said was
Mhm.
very insensitive. And so
Right.
our relationship has never been the same. I still talk to her, but um, I don't know if we'll ever get back to where we were. I mean, we talked
Mhm.
almost every day to whenever, you know, um,
Okay.
because that's what's best for me right now, even
Mhm.
12 years later. Um, but yeah, I decided, I cried. One day I cried. I cried
Mhm.
so much while I was in my car at a park. It was dark
Mhm.
outside, and I'm at this park, and I'm just crying. And Beverly, I was at the point where I was like, you know what? I could keep crying. Like I literally could cry. Like they probably would have to take me to a mental hospital and I could just cry. And I don't think there's any drugs they could give me to get me to stop crying. Like I was just
Mhm.
like, the ocean is probably somebody's tears because they went through something like me. I was down and out.
That's
Like
why
I
it
was
has
just,
the salt in it, right?
yeah, I was in my feelings. You know,
Yeah. Mhm.
and I decided, you know what? I gotta go home. I gotta go
Mhm.
home. I gotta be a good mom. I've decided that
Right.
I wanted to be a good mom from, you know, the moment I found out I was pregnant. I knew as a kid I wanted to be a good mom.
Mhm.
Um, so I had to make a decision. in order to be a good mom, in order to be a good daughter, in order to be good for myself, in order to be the strong person that has gotten through everything else before, I have to choose to fight to be happy. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that's going to take from me, but I
Mm-hmm.
decided I have to fight for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I was going to be courageous. I was going to continue to go to therapy. And that a year from the date where I came back home, I was going to tell my family
Mm-hmm.
the truth. I was going to tell them what
Yeah.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I did. And yay, so I mean that was very hard for them. And I think that,
Could
for
imagine.
me,
And for you. Mm-hmm.
yeah, for me it was hard to tell them
Yeah.
because of their
Mm-hmm.
reactions. Like I told you at the beginning, like these were people that, and I, you know what, I don't think I've ever told my stepdad because we're not close, right? So if he's
Okay.
ever heard that I've been sexually assaulted, it's been either somebody else told him that they heard it online and can you believe it?
Ryan.
Or he's watching
Mm.
himself, but I have never said to him that part of
Okay.
me, that
Mm.
truth. Um,
Right.
but it was hard. It was hard for me to tell my granny and my mom and my siblings and my aunts. And why is this happening? Hold on, real quick.
Hmm.
I'll keep talking. It was hard for me to tell all of them that I had experienced a sexual assault and
Right.
that I was I was in emotional pain.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about the physical side of it, but
I
emotionally,
know. Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
to watch them, my first team of like fans of people that believed in me 1,000%
Mm-hmm.
see that I was hurting and to
Right.
know that I had hurt for a year and I didn't tell
Mm-hmm.
them, you know, that's hard. That's hard to see the shock on the faces of your family members that love you
Yeah.
so much. Um, and so that was another reason why I said, I have to. I have to write this book, not just for survivors. And I say
Mm-hmm.
survivors, AKA conquerors, AKA warriors of trauma,
Right.
of sexual assault, of trauma, emotional, whatever. Um, it's not just for them that I write the book, but it's
Right.
for people that love people that have gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, gosh, I get so choked up thinking about my friends and my family. I mean, they have a
Hmm.
hard time even now to read my book, knowing that that is really what I endured.
What story. Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is, and the reality is, and you'll understand, uh,
Yes. Yeah.
family does not understand the trauma if they don't have to endure it. And my goal is that family and friends will have a better grasp
Right. Of what
of
it
why you
is like.
pull away
Mm-hmm.
and why you need space.
Right.
Excuse me.
Because Kristen,
And
even
why
your
you need them to
friend.
stand up and fight with you. Um, to be, to be,
Mm-hmm.
just to be there. Yes, there are walls that people build. You don't have to work to tear them
Yes.
down. You just simply
Mm-hmm.
have to be there. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Kristen, even your friend that made the comments, I'm sure that she was not, she didn't mean it for bad. But one of
yeah,
the things that persons don't understand when you go through a trauma is that you sort of blame yourself at times. What could I
Yeah.
have done?
And that's
What
why
I could
that
have
book
done
is written,
differently?
because,
You know?
people need to know, like, how can I be supportive? What can I
Yeah.
avoid saying? You know,
Yes.
what can I anticipate? Ooh, she
Mm-hmm.
wrote that? She was mad about somebody walking in the room? Yeah. Yeah, I
Right.
was. I was really mad then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad about it anymore. It was just the
Mm-hmm.
moment that I was in. But those moments were real for me, and
Real.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're real for everyone else that goes through some type of trauma. And
Right.
the intent of the book is to
Mm-hmm.
help bring people together and to help people heal when they have gone through
Mm-hmm.
something that's very difficult. And it's so
Right.
often secret. They don't want to tell anyone. And people will say, "Well, why don't you open up?" Or
Mm-hmm.
"Tell me what happened." And that's the last thing that you want to do, is tell
Just
them
give me that moment,
exactly
you
what
know.
happened.
Be the support, and the more you just be there for me, the more support that you give me, it's the easier it is for me to open up to you. But I really need that time to process it, because what am I really going to tell you?
Yeah.
At
I've
the
had
moment
people
when you
tell
go through
me,
trauma, it's such a
luckily.
confusing thing.
Huh?
At the moment when you go through trauma, it's such a confusing thing.
It is. It is. And I've had people tell me, "Hey, like, I don't believe you. You didn't cry enough." I didn't
Hmm.
cry enough for you? Believe me, I'm crying enough. I cry. I've done my fair share of crying.
Right.
I'm There are so many things, that we can go through, and we can try to I can't be what you want me to be. All I can be is me. If I want to
Right.
be free, I must be me. And take it or leave it. I am who I am. I cry when I cry. I don't cry when I don't cry.
Now,
Sorry.
this is Christine Brooke. As I told, I said people, okay, you don't like who I am, you can close your ears, you can close your eye, or you can just not be in the environment I am. But I am going to
Exactly.
enjoy me. I am going to love me, because I
Yes.
have had many years where I thought I was worthless and I couldn't enjoy me. So now that I'm enjoying me, listen, you better enjoy me, or find another space.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
Exactly.
Yes. But the hour has passed so quickly, Kristen. Like it's
I
like, whew,
know. I'm like, really?
when you cried that day, and you cried, and you made up your mind that evening that you were choosing joy.
Mhm.
You couldn't go home and do things the same as you were doing things. Can you just walk us through some of the things that you had to change, and do differently, so that you could have gotten the outcome that you wanted, and that
Whew,
is joy.
girl. No, that's key. That's key. So the moment that I said I choose joy, number one,
Mhm.
I had to start thinking in the same mindset of the people that loved me. I had to love myself. I had to think positive and highly of me, and that
Mhm.
what happened to me did not
Mhm.
define me. It defined what I've been through, and it has
Mhm.
shaped who I've become. And I have to be okay to live with that part of it, that I've been through it.
Mhm.
I decided that I was going to continue to write. I journaled, and I knew I had to have my own space. I took time for
Right.
me. There were
Mhm.
times where work might have been stressful, and I had to
Mhm.
know when to walk away. Going through
Right.
that time where I would be at work, and your boss is like, "Did you get this done? Did you get that done? Did you get that?" And the answers might all be yes, but when you're going through trauma, you feel like you're being judged. And so I had to be able to step back and say, I'm doing everything that I can. I need to take a moment to walk away. And whether that was I'm going into the restrooms, or I'm going to go outside and just walk around for a second, or I'm going into the meeting space and I'm going to check for these events and I'm going to make sure that they're perfect. I need to change my frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I took time for me, painting my nails, taking a longer shower or a longer bath. Um, that was part of it. Doing things that made me happy.
Hmm.
So, um, music was key for me, always has been, you know. So I would listen to the music that would uplift me. And when I was
Mm-hmm.
angry, I would listen to the music that was angry, and I would be all in. All in. If I wanted to be angry, I would allow myself to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
But when the
Mm-hmm.
song was over, I was done. I was
Yourself
done.
up
That's
and
it. That's all the time you get.
mm-hmm.
If I was
Mm-hmm.
sad, if I needed to cry, and that song came on that made me cry, I would be all in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know, and just like go ahead, just ugly
Yes.
cry, let it out.
Yes.
But when the
Mm-hmm.
song is over, move on.
Right.
And
'Cause
more than
it
that, you listen to the songs that uplift you, that make you dance. And I would I would
very
listen to songs
important.
that would make me dance, and my mom would be in the living
Mm-hmm.
room dancing with me, and I'd be like, "Okay, mom, come on. Let's do the Cupid shuffle together. Come on, mom. Let's listen to J-Lo. Let's get
Yes.
loud. Come on. Let's get
Mm-hmm.
loud." And or
Oh
my
yes,
favorite, Usher. Yeah,
yes.
like
I've got
we
something to sing
we
about.
dance. Hmm?
Right. You've
Yeah,
got something to sing about. So let
exactly.
us
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
And then I strengthened my spirituality. I've always been a very spiritual person. I've always
Right.
believed in God and a higher power, and
Mm-hmm.
I leaned into that. So if you
Right.
have faith, if you have something that is a higher power that you believe in, that's what you
Mm-hmm.
lean into. Um, and for me, that faith gave me courage. I
Right.
loved listening to TD Jakes, and I say it over
Mm-hmm.
and over. He had a sermon that was called Nothing Just Happens. And I
Mm-hmm.
was mad when I first saw that title. Nothing just happens. Well, this just happened. I didn't ask
Mm-hmm.
for it. I
Mm-hmm.
was mad. Like, what?
Right.
Nothing just happened. Are
Yes.
you telling me that this
Mm-hmm.
happened for a reason? Then I
Mm-hmm.
realized, you know what? Yeah, I can give
Yeah.
it a reason if I want to. And this is
Mm-hmm.
my reason, because
Right.
this is now my platform to help
Mm-hmm.
others. And someone else is going to be impacted because
Mm-hmm.
I chose that my journal would become a journal or a book for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm partnering, hopefully, with a very big name that will write this forward. And
Right.
we'll be able to get this out to the masses. And if not, if I don't have this large partner, that's okay. We are going to make this happen anyway, because
Yes.
this I am naming it and I am claiming it, that this
Mm-hmm.
is going to impact millions, if not billions of lives. There are so many people that have gone through something like this. So I
Mm-hmm.
gave what I went through purpose. In writing my
Mm-hmm.
journal, I knew, and I look back now and I'm like, that was pretty deep that I had a journal entry that said, well, maybe one day this will be able
Mm-hmm.
to help someone else. Not
Yes.
knowing exactly how I would do it,
Mm-hmm.
but that I would do it. And now I'm
Right.
doing it. And I can't wait to say, and I've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 You've done it. You have chosen joy. So you have it already,
I
Kristin.
love laughing.
Regardless of what happens on this journey, it's already done. I want to go into
Yeah.
quickly though. Uh, being a victim of sexual assault myself, I know, and kind of, doing a lot of research in the field
Mhm.
and working with persons who have also been sexually assaulted, I
Mhm.
know that there's a stigma that goes with it.
Mhm.
And a
Mhm.
lot of us don't come out. And so you being able to speak to deciding to speak to your mother about your family about it was a great courageous thing, because I have spoken to persons who have big time jobs and working in big time companies,
Mhm.
and they have not even spoken to their mother about what took place. They spoke to no, the only reason they came and speak to me was because I gave my story. And so they
Yeah.
felt comfortable to come and speak to me. So I know that you have also encountered persons who have told you that you would not be heard because of the assault that you went through.
Mhm.
Tell me why, despite the fact that you have been assaulted, why you are now the perfect candidate to be able to give a course that would help persons choose joy in spite of what trauma they went through.
Oh, I love that question, Beverly. Why me? Well, why not me?
Why
When I
you?
went
Why not?
through when I went through my trauma, when I went through sexual assault and I had to get through that, I would say, "Why me? Why me, God? Why me?" And the
Hmm.
voice that I got back was, "Why not you?" Now, this
Hmm.
is for my believers. He said to me, "If I can give you my son to carry a cross and to be
Hmm.
beaten and
And
whipped
sit upon.
for
Hmm.
chunks of his skin to be taken from his body
Hmm.
for your salvation,
Why not you?
then why not you with this?
Hmm.
Why not you?" So, for people that want to get through it, why not me? I've gone through it. I understand it. I've been there. I know that there are struggles in life. What we've talked about today is not the only thing that I've been through.
True.
All of these things that we've talked about are not the only things that I've been
Just the
through.
icing on the cake. Just
Right.
the icing. Mm-hmm.
And so I have to say this, I also went to law school, and law school afforded me a way to look at the world through a different lens, to look at things in a matter of fact way and figure out how to make things work, how to look at things and say, okay, that's defined by this, 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 and this. If one thing is missing, then it's not that. And if it's not that, what is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that to say, so often, because today is historic. Today we're talking on the day that Derek Chauvin was found guilty on
Hmm.
3 charges for the
Mm-hmm.
murder and manslaughter of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, United States.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we hear of someone assaulting a person, whether it's hitting them on the head, a knee to their neck, a breaking of an arm, a stabbing of skin,
Hmm.
when we hear of those types of harm, it's so easy to define that it was wrong. And
Right.
it's easy to tell someone what happened. This is the
Mm-hmm.
bruise on my face, and this is why.
Hmm.
But when someone is sexually assaulted, because it is a place that we tell our children is a place that no one should touch, and this is your
Private.
private
Mm-hmm.
place, we get fearful of telling the world that someone violated that space. And we also
Mm-hmm.
put on it value as we tell our children this is something that you should not do until you get married. And we put
Mm-hmm.
qualifiers on it. But yet someone decided that they were going to assault in the most private and valued
Hmm.
place that is supposed to be saved for you to decide. And so until we start looking at sexual assault as an assault like any other,
Yeah.
and that there is
Probably
no
even worse.
stigma that assaulting me in that space is
Mm-hmm.
wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and then also accounting for the emotional harm that it causes an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know that from a child,
Right.
we have been told that this is a private and sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
Until we take into consideration that emotional harm also carries weight. But in the law, it's hard to say, it is often hard to say emotional harm has a punishment. So often we say,
Hmm.
sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But what
Mm-hmm.
about when people touch our most private parts? Because it's a possession that I carry around with me. And I do not show that to the
Right.
world, but yet the most private moments of my life are connected with that space of my body.
Mm-hmm.
I have been through it. So if someone needs someone to work with to work through that trauma, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what it's like to choose to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels so much better when you no longer have to carry that burden of hiding who gets to know and who doesn't.
Hmm.
I haven't been as free until I decided that it didn't matter who knew. But for so long,
Mm-hmm.
I was scared that the perpetrator would want to come for me until I
Right.
realized that if I tell the story and people know, then people will
Mm-hmm.
know who came for me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then that was liberating. And so I'm letting my own light shine so that others may do the same.
Right. Yes. Uh, when you talk about God sending his son, it text says, and he was wounded for transgression, he was bruised for iniquity. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. And it's the same for us when we have the Spirit of Jesus. It's the
Yes.
same for us. We are wounded for someone else's transgression. We are bruised for someone else's iniquity.
Yeah.
And someone else's peace is
Yes.
upon us. And we
Yes.
have to make sure and be able to choose to live that purpose so that that person or persons can be able to experience that peace, because it is really a dirty kind of feeling to go through that kind of assault. It is really you get pain with a cut, and they bandage it and it heals, but then for years that kind of insult, assault, sorry, is it gives you a dirty feeling. It gives you a feeling of I can't even get the word right now,
Right.
but it
But
is
it's the feeling
it
that
is
someone else wants power and control over your body to tell you that they can do what they want with what
with
you were
what,
always told was your choice. And
right?
you don't get to take that from me. Just like you don't get to use my finger to pick your nose. That's not going to
Mhm.
happen. It's just as disgusting. And it's not
Right.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, guys, we have it. This is just a tip of the iceberg as to
Yeah.
why Christine goes by the name Resiliency Queen. She has bounced back from so many things. Christine, I thought of you today and I thought of this story and this testimony I like to see that you were going to give today. And the text that came into my mind, that's say where a saint is who falls 7 times and get back up. And I was
Yes.
like, yeah, I have been in the presence of a saint.
Aw.
Yeah, and guys, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Because you have had the resilience, see it within you to bounce back up, to get back up. No, I'm not staying down. I am not
Yeah.
staying down. I am not. It is not over until I win. And the greatest winning moment is being able now to take your story and share it with the world and share it with others and be able to bring that healing among persons, among communities. We really do need that. We really, really, really do need that. And it's very commendable of you, Christine. And
Yeah.
I am so happy that you decided to share your story with us this evening. Again, when I listened to you share your story on Shy Together, I was like, oh, she wouldn't want to come and give the story again today. But you did.
No.
You
This
did.
is my mission in life. My mission
Mm-hmm.
is to use my voice
Right.
as a power for good. I was
Mm-hmm.
told in law school that our words are our swords. When
Right.
we are in a battle, our
Mm-hmm.
words are what we use to fight in the legal
Hmm.
arena. But that is
Mm-hmm.
also true in every day. We can decide
Mm-hmm.
that the words that we use are powerful. And it is my
Say great.
mission to help women, children, and men that have gone
Yeah.
through sexual assault and other traumas
Right.
to be able to
Mm-hmm.
live the life they deserve. And you
Yes.
deserve peace, you deserve joy.
Yes. Yes. Chocola. Oh Lord. It is so
I
wonderful to
don't.
have you joining us this evening. Yes. Uh he says, good evening, ladies. Good evening, Joe.
Hello.
Yes, yes. So we want to leave that with you this evening. We want you to know that there's nothing different between Christine and you. Yes, you may have different characteristics. Yes, you may have different background. Yes, your trauma may be different, but you got the resilience in the resilience
Yes, I
see
can.
inside of you also, and
Yes.
you also can bounce back. And for those of you who are finding it hard to bounce back, for those of you who are finding it hard to choose joy, and you need someone to coach you through it. You need someone who is there every step of the way, holding your hand, saying, I have been through it and I know the way. Christine, tell them about your course.
I have a course and actually a course series, and our current course is Journey Through Trauma. It will
Mhm.
be a permanent course in that course series. So as we go through it, it will be recorded and available on our member site. Um, Journey Through Trauma covers things like triggers, recognizing what your trauma is, what that looks like, how to tell others, resources and options that are available for you. And then you also work one on one with me if you're a charter member. And so you're able to really talk about your trauma and just the things that are holding you back. Along with that introductory course, there is a self-assessment that I've learned through Eric Thomas, and I work with him. You guys know E.T. the hip hop preacher. Yes, 2020 was good to me. I was able to work with Les Brown, and I was able to work with Eric Thomas. And this survey allows you and I to assess what your personality is like, how you communicate with others, and how it's best for them to communicate with you. And it takes your personality into account as of the day you take the survey. So if you've gone through trauma and you found that you have shut down, then we can work on, is that how you naturally are, or is that something that you've adapted to?
Right.
In learning
So,
that, we can
question,
help
Kristin.
change that behavior so that you're acting in your natural state and being comfortable all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can find that on my website. What were you going to
Right.
say?
No, I was just going to ask you a question. Sorry for cutting in on your
It's okay.
conversation.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, for those persons who are not yet comfortable with speaking out
Mhm.
what they've been through, do they have a place in your course also?
Yes. So if you don't, here's the thing. I only work with you on a confidential basis. If you're not comfortable speaking about it with anyone, reach out to me so that I can at least give you the course materials and the recordings so that you can work through it yourself. And then I would also give you a copy of my manuscript where you can have a sense of what I've been through and how it's similar or different from what you've experienced. And from there, you may have conversations with loved ones. You may feel like you can reach out to me or someone else that you know. It may
Right.
be that key to holding you back with your loved ones to be able to just say, oh my gosh, read this. Can you believe that she went through something like this? If you're
Hmm.
trying to gauge maybe how people will react to sexual assault because you're
Mhm.
not sure, then you can say, I read this interesting book. I'm
Right.
so sad for her, and see what
Mm-hmm.
they say. And then from there, you have your answer. If they're
Right.
callous towards it, then maybe that's not your person. But if they say, oh my gosh, that's so sad. Did she have someone there for her? If I was her friend, then I would have been there. Then maybe that is your person that you can trust.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, you can take the time to get to know me as well one-on-one, because I would love
Mm-hmm.
to be there for anyone that has gone through
Right.
something like this. And currently, I have the time to work one-on-one with people. The goal is to get to a point where we have so many people that are wanting to be healed and work through their trauma, because again, you deserve to live the life you want. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to live the life you deserve. And it is
Mm-hmm.
my goal to give you that by working through this and knowing you're not alone. I'm going to give you the skills that you need to bounce back.
Lovely. So give your information again so
So the
that
website,
you can
yeah,
drop it in comments so that they can be able
absolutely. I
to
can
reach
get there.
you. Yeah, you can
Um,
drop it after the show if you want
I
to.
will. I will.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
the website is kristinbrooke.com, KristinBrooke.com. If you want to reach me on social media, my pages are on Instagram and Facebook, Kristin Brooke Official, KristinBrookOfficial, Kristin Brooke Official. I look forward to working with any and all of you that need the help to work through this. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Beverly, I appreciate you helping me get the word out so we can heal people, so we can help people.
Yes. 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 So, Christine, it was a pleasure. It really, really was a pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise.
Guys, reach out to Christine. She is here for you. She knows and she understands, and she is here for you. I I am going to continue next week, Tuesday, by God's grace. God, we serve a mighty God. So because I am shocked. We are over an hour now, basically an hour and a half, and my phone has not cut off. Right, my phone just stopped and it started overheating, and it
Oh
has not
no.
cut off. So I am so happy for that. It have limited what I am able to do, and because my laptop is down, but I am not perturbed by it. No, we are working very hard on coming back and coming back better for you, because our
Yes.
determination is reaching you. Our determination is helping you to choose joy, helping you to choose yourself. I am Beverly Briggs, and Tuesday we will have Shia's room again, as I said before. Real Talk will come back on June the 3rd. Now, June the 3rd is a Thursday, not a Tuesday, but it is an anniversary for me. And you will know later on what that anniversary is and why is it so important for me. So we would be back then. If you look at the Pearl Foundation page, you will see that we are working tireless to get it where it needs to be. We are working on websites, and y'all, I'm learning to use Instagram, and I know I would have some other social media to join. I am so old time, Michelle. Social media is for me. But just because I love you and just because I care about you being able to choose joy, I am taking the time off to do this. And so next week, we have a Jamaican woman coming in, and she have a story also of resilience. She goes by the name Overcomer McDavid, and you would hear about the things that she had to overcome, the things that she is actually still going through. And she will also be an inspiration to you. This is Beverly Briggs and Kristin Brooke saying to you, your future belongs to you. This is our story,
And
and
we're
we're
sticking to
sticking
it.
to it. Bye for now.
Bye bye.